Hello everyone! If you are new to my channel, my name is Amber and I am a rising sophomore at the University of Pennsylvania. Today's video was actually requested by a viewer, so shout out to Jessica for being the inspiration for this video. A lot of people ask me, how did you get into Upenn, or how did you get into the UC schools? Because I applied and was admitted to Upenn and every UC school, which I'm very proud of, and I would love to help share the knowledge. This video is going to be talking about my process and particularly what I did to get into these schools. Before we begin this video, I would like to say two things. One, there is no set way of getting into any of these schools or your dream school. There are multiple pathways and approaches that you can take. And two, sometimes it's just random because there are so many qualified candidates and at the very end there are only so many spots. So you might be qualified, but it just might not happen. It just becomes a luck of a draw. So I would like to share that with you before I get into my particular process. This video is going to be broken down into three parts: academics, extracurricular activities, and the application itself. I'll be talking about what I did in each of those fields. So let's begin. Academics. So the first thing I want to talk about is AP, Advanced Placement, and IB, International Baccalaureate. I took both AP and IB classes. I did get my IB diploma at the end, which means I did take all of the necessary IB exams and I took AP exams. And I did this because I wanted to, one, give myself the best chances of having those credits transfer over if I were to go to a UC, and two, because I wanted to make my application more competitive. Upenn and other Ivy Leagues are typically very strict with the types of credits they allow to transfer from college courses, AP exams, and IB exams. So I wasn't expecting a lot of those credits to transfer if I were to go to an Ivy League, but I did it because they consider it to be part of your application. They consider it to make you more of a competitive candidate. So I highly recommend taking either AP or IB or both. Taking those AP and IB classes really helped to boost my GPA. I ended with a 4.73 GPA by the end of high school, and I think I was in the top 20 students of my class. I was not salutatorian or valedictorian, but I had a pretty solid rank and a pretty solid GPA to make me a competitive candidate. I also took college courses over the summer, which again made me a more competitive candidate in the eyes of Upenn, and I was hoping for those credits to transfer had I gone to a UC school. I think college courses help because it shows that you really are passionate about knowledge and about learning, and if you do it in something that you're interested in and something that'll help you decide your major, that can be very beneficial in the eyes of colleges. The last thing I would like to touch on regarding academics are SAT and SAT subject tests. I didn't score as well as I would have liked on the SAT or the SAT subject test. I didn't take the ACT, I didn't take prep classes for the SAT, and I didn't start studying early enough, but it didn't hurt my application as much as I would have thought because I made up for it with extracurricular activities. So I focused on being a well-rounded student and made sure that other parts of my application stood out to compensate for the lower SAT score than a lot of students who get into those colleges. However, I would like to say that a lot of students did get higher SAT scores and some of them were not admitted into the colleges that I was admitted into. So an SAT score cannot make or break your application necessarily unless you have an insanely high one or an insanely low one. So I would just try to focus on other parts of your application if you are struggling a little bit with your SAT scores or if you can't afford those prep classes. Now we are moving on to extracurricular activities, and again I'd like to reiterate that this is not a tried and true method for how to get into Penn or UC schools. This is just the approach that I took and the extracurricular activities that I did, which I think really stood out or helped in my application and made me seem like a well-rounded student. Also, I'd like to say that some people don't take the well-rounded route. They prefer having a spike. I preferred to do the well-rounded thing because being super busy helps me to stay on top of all of my activities. I also just had so many different interests that I had to try different things in high school. But some people are really into violin or they're really into tennis and they make that their spike for their college application. So you can also take that method and just really make that stand out in your application. But here are the extracurricular activities I did. I was in student government for 4 years. I held an officer position every year, and then my senior year I was ASB president. So I did speak at my graduation, and if you'd like to see my graduation speech, that's right here. And if you would like to find out how I became ASB president or like my campaign methods, you can see those right over here. I was also in Future Business Leaders of America all 4 years of high school. I held an officer position almost every year. And in my last year, my senior year, I was the California State President for FBLA. If you would like to know more about my FBLA journey, there is a video right here that talks about my FBLA story. I also went to Girl State one summer. I was a delegate, and if you'd like to know what Girl State is, there is a video right here that talks about Girl State, and I was a junior counselor the following summer. So that was very exciting, and I definitely recommend that if you are a girl and you're interested in politics, check that out. I played tennis for 2 years of high school, sophomore and junior year, and in junior year I made the varsity team. I had never played tennis before. It was really just hard work and practices and sheer effort that got me to varsity team. For my school district, I was the student board member, which means that I sat up on the little podium with all the other board members, and I got to discuss some of the school policies, and I got to discuss the budgeting and hear about really how a school district works, which was very interesting. See if you have any opportunities like that at your school district, and that can be very beneficial to your application and to your own personal knowledge on understanding what a school district is like, the politics behind it, all of those. Finally, I did some volunteer work and some internships. I interned at the assembly member's office for my district. I was an ambassador for the Mayor's Youth Council. I helped out with Habitat for Humanity. I did Big Brother Big Sister one year. I helped tutor. So just those little things. And those were mainly when I had time, except for the internship and the Mayor's Youth Council. The other 3 things, those were when I had time or spread out across my high school experience. Those were just little passions. But you want to talk about everything that was momentous to you or helped you grow as an individual in your application. And that brings us to the third part of this video, the application. So the application process, there are different applications for the Ivy Leagues and Upenn and for UC schools. So I will be talking a little bit about both, but mainly just the same types of ideas. So the Common App is the one that I did for Upenn, and then the UC application for the UC schools. My main tip regarding the application is to include everything, and I mean everything. Don't repeat yourself unless you're going for the spike approach, but I went for the well-rounded approach, so that's the approach I'll be talking about. But make sure that you talk about something different in each part of your application, something that shows a little bit more about who you are as a person, your character, your drive, your ambition. Talk about those different types of things, your compassion, and why you want to go into the major that you want to go into. So I talked about student government, I talked about FBLA, I talked about the 2 years of tennis that I was in. I talked about my experience as a student board member. Talk about all of those different activities that you have that can really boost your application just a little bit ahead of somebody else who doesn't have those features. That's how you become a competitive candidate on paper. For any part of the application where you can choose the topic or speak more freely, or in the Common App essay, talk about something that you don't think was reflected in your application. I personally talked about my culture and its influence in helping me to decide the major that I wanted to pursue. Talking about your culture seems a little bit mainstream and typical. However, for me, being an Afghan American, not a lot of people understand my culture or know about it or know how it influences my decisions in my daily life. So I decided to talk about being Afghan, what I've seen, what I've heard, what I've been told, and talking about how that contributed to my major, my passion, and my ambition. That was just personally what I chose to write about. You don't have to do the same thing and write about culture, but talk about something that is not reflected in other parts of your application. With the free responses and the essay portion, make sure to start way in advance. I procrastinated. I'm a grade A procrastinator, and I think I started 3 weeks before it was due, which if you are in college or you went through the college application process, you know that is not enough time to write a really solid essay and solid free response choices. You want to have this read by your advisors, your teachers, your parents, your siblings. Have it read by everyone and have them give their feedback on how you can improve it. I recommend starting 3 months in advance at least, so you can be creative and have it read by other people. A lot of people choose to be creative in their essays, and I wish I was more creative in mine. I highly recommend that you start 3 months in advance so you have that opportunity to be creative and so you can have it read by other people. Finally, in the application portion, there are the letters of rec. And I recommend, if you are a freshman, sophomore, or junior, start building those connections with teachers, staff, advisors, principals, all of those right now. to really help them build a letter of rec that reflects who you are. You need somebody else to explain the kinds of compassionate acts that you do, the kind of activities that you are involved in, the kind of person and character that you are. Someone who can speak on your integrity and your drive and your passion for life. Reach out to these people ahead of time, maybe set up a meeting and talk to them about why you are interested in that school, why you're interested in the major you're going into, and try to build that connection by talking to them so that they have something unique that they can put on your letters of rec, something that stands out. Again, this is just my approach towards the application. You can go an entirely different route. There are so many pathways, but this was the method that I took, speaking on my culture, using letters of rec from trusted and well-known advisors from 4 years or 2 year long teachers, and having those different types of experiences listed all throughout my application. Alright, now that we've talked about those 3 things, I hope that they've helped. Again, thank you, Jessica, for being the inspiration for this video. I know you must have a lot of questions looming in your minds, and if you do, please leave them in the comment section down below and I'd be happy to answer them directly, or I can make a part 2 of this video. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more like it, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. I will be trying to post a lot more videos more frequently for you guys, so make sure to subscribe to my channel so you are aware when I have new videos. And I hope that this video helps you start planning how you're going to go about getting into college. I wish you all the best of luck. I believe in you. You are going to do great. Have fun in high school. I know we have this coronavirus going around, but when schools start back up again, and hopefully they will, things will be a lot more fun, especially in your senior years. I will see you guys next time. Bye!